All right. We are back on the A to Z Sports Big Orange podcast. I am Charlie Burris. That is Zach Ragan. Wherever you listen throughout the world, thank you very much for listening to us. Another recorded segment this week because, at this point, it's because these are doing numbers compared to our regular live show. Although, ideally, our live show will be back in no time when we get everything back on schedule. But today, gonna have some fun conversation about what the most important position group for Tennessee football is in this upcoming season. And then we'll end this segment with a little talk of some rumors that are swirling around about one of Tennessee's best players. And, get to all of that. What is up, Zach?
Not much. Yeah, we've almost made it to the end of summer, and we got to get into some negative rumors, but it's part of the gig at this point when it comes to Tennessee football. So it's just it's part of it. But on the bright side, nearing the end of summer here, camp coming up starts in 9 days from today, Monday, July 21st, starts on July 30th. So media days is in the book. I mean, it's almost time to get going. This is it's the most anticipated time of the year, and when you really get that itch for football.
Yeah, I'm starting to get to that point where I'm like, all right, let's get to it. Because media days can only provide so much. You got Tennessee's actual media day. Is it a week from now? Is it Sunday?
It's usually the day before camp starts. Maybe it'll be
right.
2 days. I don't know. It has been on Sundays, I think, here recently. So that sounds right.
I haven't been in a number of years, but it used to be pretty much full access. You could just kind of go in the locker room, walk around, talk to guys, get it whatever soundbite you need to. I think it's a little more structured with Heupel now. But
my favorite one ever was I guess it was 2013 or 14. I can't remember if it was Butch's first or second year, and he had the fashion show in the Tennessee locker room to unveil some new uniforms, Adidas uniforms at the time that in retrospect nobody liked. That was looking back now, that was a bizarre moment that I can't even believe happened.
God, it really was. I remember that vividly. Man, Butch Jones, everybody. But let's get right to today's conversation. We'll both give what we think is our most important position group for Tennessee this year. Maybe some obvious answers. Maybe we try to go off the beaten path. I think in the course of this conversation, we'll talk about every position group, which is sort of what I wanted to do. But I'll throw it to you first, Zach. Camp coming quickly to us at the moment. What are you seeing as maybe the most impactful position group for Tennessee?
Yeah, I've kind of said this before. I mean, there's a ton of different answers you can give here. I mean, starting at quarterback, of course, with whoever wins that battle. But I think it ultimately is the offensive line, especially with so many new faces being broken in this year. You've only got one returning starter with Lance Hurd there at left tackle, who really didn't play to his potential last season. He dealt with a lot of injuries that happened in camp that we didn't really know about at the time, that kind of kept him from getting work in to really get integrated into this offensive scheme. It all starts there to me. I mean, that was a problem for Tennessee at times last season with protection, and now you don't have the anchor of that offensive line in Cooper Mays. The first time during the Josh Heupel era that somebody outside of those games that Mays missed at the beginning of the 23 season, you have somebody new that's going to be snapping the ball and making those calls up front for Josh Heupel. And who is that guy? We still don't know who that guy's going to be yet. That's maybe a little concerning. I think we were all hoping that they would exit spring practice knowing who their starting center would be. Is it William Satterwhite? Is it Sam Pendleton, the Notre Dame transfer, who's had some experience at center when he was at Notre Dame? Or does he play guard? You give somebody else a shot? I don't know. I mean, they haven't even started camp yet, so we really won't know until a couple of weeks into camp how this is trending. But that unit's got to play well. They got to stay healthy, and they've got to protect whoever's back there. I mean, if they don't protect, it doesn't really matter. I don't, if it's Joey Aguilar or Jake Mertlinger or George McIntyre under center. If they don't have time to throw the ball and to make decisions and time to, for the receivers to get downfield, it just won't matter. So to me, that's where Tennessee's offensive success will begin this season, is with the offensive line. And there's just a lot that has to go right. There's talent there, right? Like Lance Hurt's a 5-star. David Sanders is a true freshman. He's a 5-star. Wendell Moe, your left guard, the Arizona transfer. He played really well last season out there. Sam Pendleton's a former 4-star who's either going to be guard or center. And you got Satterwhite, Jesse Perry, some other guys that could step up and earn starting roles. So the talent's there. Can they be coached up by Glenn Ellerby? I think this is kind of a prove it year for Ellerby, even though he has been recruiting fairly well. And can they just be that, dominating unit that you have to be to go up against some of these SEC pass rushers? I mean, these are the best pass rushers in college football that you're going to be seeing weekly.
I think that probably is the right answer overall, just because of the knock-on effects of what they're going to do if they play well or if they play really poorly. I think a lot of people have said about Joey Aguilar, if he ends up being the quarterback, that you look at his tape from last year and it was just glaringly obvious that, yeah, he took a step back from the previous year where he played really well for App State. But the offensive line play there was just horrendous, and he was running for his life. And so, yeah, I mean, if you can give a guy who's not super well entrenched in the system all the time he needs, and then you compare that with a powerful run game, I mean, it's going to be massive. And I'm excited to see where it is in week one. I could be very not excited after week one, I'll say. But excited to see in week one because of sort of what you're saying. Like, the talent is there. You got experienced dudes, guy from Notre Dame, Wendell Moe, and then you have 5-star talent on both ends. Obviously, one of those 5 stars is a fresh freshman. And so you don't know exactly how that'll go. But last time you had an amazing freshman at that spot, he did just fine. And so I'm very interested to see how it goes for them. Syracuse probably not going to be world's best test for that offensive line. I would say they even if they're not that great, they should be able to move some earth against Syracuse. But
you would hope that's kind of like that NC State game last season, which can be good and bad.
Yes, I mean, we talked about that NC State game like midway through the second quarter. We were kind of sweating bullets a little bit, being like, okay, why are we not pushing these guys around? What's happening right now? And then they opened the floodgates.
It was really that pick six kind of turned that whole game around.
Yep. I shout out to Will Brooks. Thank God for him on multiple occasions last season, no doubt. But yeah, it'll be a good testing ground just to start off with Syracuse, then a couple of snoozer games and see exactly where you're at in some ways. And if that can be a really powerful unit, you're off to a really good. That's a great foundation. I'll say, to me, I don't know if it's correct to say that it's the most impactful, but it's the one that I'm probably looking at the closest is the set of DBs, and kind of linebackers too. Because obviously with Jermon McCoy out, you're sort of looking at that set of DBs, and Jermon, hopefully he's back sometime soon. It's indeterminate at the moment. I highly doubt he'll be back for week one, at least at the moment, it seems like.
I don't think they would do that even if he was ready, just to give him.
Right. You could give him at least to the Georgia game. I mean, because
minimum.
Theoretically, you don't need him if Tennessee has its head screwed on straight. So without him, just where exactly do you sit? Talent is it's good. It's certainly not a bad unit, but you had guys transfer out and you have young dudes that are kind of unproven. You have a guy in Boo Carter that we're not sure exactly what's going on with that young man at the moment. And you need him on defense and on offense potentially. And so it's just a little bit up in the air. I mean, I'll say of the linebackers, I've been really impressed with the coaching of William Inge.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have the new second linebackers coach in Coach Chop. And it's Chops, is he doing the same? He picked up linebackers and special teams, right?
Yeah, I think he's
Yeah.
more, he's more that like edge rusher, outside
Right.
linebacker type guy, which is what Eckler. But he's not doing special teams. They hired a
Oh, that's
special
right.
teams coordinator because now I guess you can have as many coaches as you want. I don't know.
Apparently.
Anymore. Yeah, it's.
Sorry, I was thinking wrong there. I hadn't thought about that hire in a little while. But regardless, we've seen good recruiting out of those guys,
Mhm.
and I think last year saw good coaching at an Inge specifically.
Especially you lost your top guy right into the season with Peely.
Yeah, still went 10-2. Had a really powerful defense. The edges this year with like Josh Josephs and you have some serious power on that defense. I think it may end up being a situation, at least until Jermon McCoy comes back, where you're sort of like, hopefully we can get a couple of sacks because we don't know exactly where these DBs are going to land. But
landing Colton Hood as a transfer,
that was huge.
Yeah,
that was big.
Definitely.
Yes, gave you probably a starter. I think a lot of people are assuming that, and at the worst case scenario, depth. And I mean, who even is your set starter at this point? Andre Turrentine?
Yeah.
Is that about it?
Beasley's probably going to play safety, it sounds like.
Yeah. So there's a lot up in the air there that I'm kind of giving side eye to, going like, okay, what are we doing? What are we doing here? It's sort of exactly like the offensive line, where I'm like, what exactly is the plan when you don't have a center through spring practice, and still kind of don't now? But I'll be watching the DBs. I don't know if anything else sticks out to you, Zach.
I think, on the defensive side of the ball, you mentioned linebackers. I think Arian Carter's growth, he's going into his third season here. He hadn't played a ton of linebacker through high school. He played defense, but he was mainly a running back. So he's really learning the position. I mean, in high school, he did just go out there and be the most athletic guy on the field and make all the plays. And it's not that way in the SEC. So I think he's really learned how to play the position these first 2 seasons. He's shown really great leadership. I mean, it's evidenced by the fact that Josh Heupel brought him to SEC Media Days last week. I think if he can take a big step forward and really be the quarterback of the defense and be the guy on that side of the ball that kind of gets everybody where they're supposed to be and is really the motivator on the field. We've heard he has that in him. Bryson Easton, kind of compared his pregame speeches to like a Ray Lewis type of guy. So that's something that you always need on the defensive side of the ball. That right there gives me some confidence that the defense will be able to pick up where it left off, even having to replace some players like James Pierce and filling in for Jermon McCoy and other guys too, like Amari Thomas and Omar Norman-Lott. So you still got some good pieces there, and I think Carter will help that unit find its way. Offensively, I think wide receivers is the other spot you go to after offensive line and quarterback. Tight ends are solid. Kitzelman's going to be a good player, already a great blocker, great leader. He should help that room come along. And we've seen, no disrespect to Dylan Sampson, it was incredible what he did last season. I don't anticipate anyone recreating that this season or anytime soon, but the running back position in Heupel's offense can be a bit plug and play. It doesn't mean you didn't get elite production, but you should get at least satisfactory production at the minimum with the guys you have back there: Peyton Lewis, Deshaun Bishop, Star Thomas, the Duke transfer. But wide receivers, man, they've got to play better than they have the last 2 seasons. There's been drops. There's been just miscommunications, not being on the same page as the quarterback, not getting the great separation at times. You've got some elite talent there with Mike Matthews, Braylon Staley, Chris Brazel, if he takes another step forward, Travis Smith, a true freshman that's really exciting. You've got players there that can make plays, that can be big-time SEC receivers, but they've got so little experience outside of Brazel. There's no time to just grow and learn on the job. Like, they got to go be the guys from the jump this season, right? Like, Matthews is a sophomore. He's going to have to play like a veteran player that's been in this system for years. He's going to have to lead this group. He's the most dynamic player in that group. He's got to go, flirt with 1,000 yards this season, I think. I mean, it's the facts. If this team wants to get back to the playoff or have any chance of making some noise in December, Matthews has to be that caliber of a player. I'm not saying he has to go be Jalen Hyatt from 22, but he's got to start getting into that territory where people are talking about him, and the production just hasn't been good enough the last 2 years. So that unit's going to be really important too.
You really got to hope that you get one or two like SEC Offensive Player of the Week performances out of Mike Matthews. Like, you need that level of dude, because that's what you got out of Jalen Hyatt. I'm not necessarily asking him to be Jalen Hyatt, win the Biletnikoff Award. I mean, that'd be nice. You can go ahead and do that, please. I feel like Jeremiah Smith might have a pretty good case by the end of this year. But that really is big, man. It's just, after all the emphasis that was put on that group and retaining Mike Matthews and all that crap that happened, he's got to play well.
You got to at least be. I mean, Velus Jones. No shade at Velus, but he's not been a good NFL player at all, right? Like, he was drafted by the Bears, like second or third round in 22, made no impact, struggled, couldn't figure out the offense, fumbled. He's been picked up by I can't remember where he's, Panthers maybe, somebody else is he's been waived already by the Bears. That guy was a monster in his first season in Josh Heupel's offense, his only season in Josh Heupel's offense, when he had barely produced under Jeremy Pruitt the previous years. So, look, Matthews is significantly more talented as a wide receiver than that guy. So I don't think it's asking a lot to go out there and be an 800, 900 yard guy at minimum this season.
Not at all. And you hate to kind of put it this way, because it's been so long coming where guys actually get cut a paycheck for what they're doing here, but they effectively are. Like, Mike Matthews got paid to stay at Tennessee. Period. We all know it. I don't know how much it was, but we know that's what transpired. And like in the NFL, you're going to be looking and going, hey, it's not written into the contract, but we do expect performance in return for this investment. So yeah, it is what it is when it comes to that type of stuff, even if it's still, a lot of people find it uncomfortable to flat out say that. Look, you're paying.
We don't love it. I mean, nobody loves it because it's not the way that college football players should develop, but it is the fact or it's the reality of the sport. You are getting paid to produce. They're not paying you so they can develop you and get you to the NFL solely, in 4 years. They're paying you to come in as a sophomore and be a guy, be the guy.
Out. Yes. So we'll see what happens with the wide receivers, because it's another group kind of like the offensive line, where I kind of look at it and say, it's a pretty good chance it's better than last year if it all operates correctly. So, yeah, it's going to be a tentative, cautious start to the season, seeing exactly where we're at. I mean, I don't know what I'll do if they come out and just blast Syracuse by 60 and look like a machine.
I think we've been doing this long enough to know that we should just temper expectations. We've seen them do that to NC State. Well, they did make the playoffs this past season, but 2012 NC State, I don't think any of us will ever forget that game with Cordero Patterson and Justin Hunter and
great game.
Zach Rogers and Michael Rivera. I mean, that whole team was scoring. Tyler Bray, and then that team finished 5-7. Now, it wasn't the offense's fault, but
yeah, the offense on that team was honestly killer. If you had that offense and last year's defense, it'd be a pretty powerful football team.
Oh yeah, but I'll ask you this about the wide receivers real quick. With all the talent that they have, right? Like the Mike Matthews and Braylon Staley and Travis Smith. I mean, these are some highly touted guys. Georgia wanted Mike Matthews. I mean, he's from Georgia. They tried to flip him. They made him an NIL offer before he signed with Tennessee. It didn't happen. Like, that was a big get for Tennessee. If he doesn't live up to his potential this season, and the other guys don't really live up to their potential, or this wide receiver group doesn't take a big step forward, you think Kelsey Pope's on the hot seat, Tennessee's wide receivers coach?
He better be.
I mean, he's recruited well, but performance.
Heupel doesn't fire coaches, man. He just doesn't. And maybe some behind the scenes of guys that have left. Maybe there was some, hey, maybe it's time you leave discussions that were had, but the guy just doesn't fire anybody. But if you underperform majorly this year, it's time. It kind of like some other position groups that we've talked about, like the offensive line potentially. Sort of been like, yeah, I know your pals. Heupel's your buddy, and it was a friend hire, and all these things. But at a certain point, this has to be a performance-based game. It is a meritocracy. We're not here to just keep Josh Heupel's friends employed. And so I would hope so, but ideally they play great, and Tennessee
Hopefully
has an awesome season.
We don't have conversations about firing any coaches. That would be for the best. But you're right. I mean, he doesn't fire coaches, but if the wide receivers one where that, there's no like long-term previous connection with Kelsey Pope. He's a guy you promoted when Cody Burns left after his first season. Cody Burns is now at USF, I believe, with Alex Drolish. So, but with Pope, if they don't perform, I just think there's a lot of questions there that you got to answer for Josh Heupel. And I'm sure Heupel, if he were to hear this, he'd probably say, those guys don't understand. They don't know the ins and outs of what happens with these position groups and the coaching that happens on a day-to-day basis. And I understand that. I know we don't get to see the behind the scenes, but it really just comes down to results at the end of the day. I mean, if you're either getting it done or you're not. And this will be the most talented group Pope's had, I guess since Hyatt and Tillman in 22. They should be more talented than that on paper. It's just not. There's not a lot of excuses if they don't get the job done this season.
Yeah, outside of injury, it's time to get it together as far as that goes. And injury, and if Joey Aguilar and Jake Merklinger and George McIntyre all just stink out loud, like you just can't find a quarterback option that works at all.
Yeah, and the offensive line, of course. I mean, all that.
Mitigating
football.
Yeah, unless there's mitigating circumstances, it is time. So, yeah. Didn't mean to take that to a negative place. I think the bottom line being, to me, I do agree with you. The offensive line is probably number one because you need to get this offense on track. You need to have Joey Aguilar or whoever have a great start, a great season, protect them as much as possible, set them up for success. And it kind of starts there to me. But before we move on to this final not so great talk that we maybe have to have, anything else from this week in Tennessee football, Zach?
You want to break down special teams and go position by position on that?
Let's go long snapper first. Is there? I did see a post. I didn't know if it was serious or not. Something on 3, and they were like, 5-star long snapper commits to X, and I was like, there is no way there's a 5-star long snapper. I didn't do my research and look into it. Maybe it was a joke. But maybe there is a 5-star long snapper out there.
I mean, that's an important position because if you screw the snap up on a punt, I mean, you may have just lost the game.
Yeah, it's pretty important. But yeah, I think we can break down the special teams on another day. Let's.
Actually, will be interesting though with a new special teams coordinator that's solely dedicated to that. And I know you. I mean, you gave Eckler some hard times over the years at times. Even though he was a popular assistant, there were some special teams snafus at times.
There were ups and downs with Mike Eckler. I always liked his personality, I guess the right word. I always liked that disposition. But yeah, his actual special teams coaching ability, there were times where I was like, what are we doing here? What?
Yeah, specifically, like they did a great job, not to get too much into this. They did a great job, limiting punt returns. I mean, that was awesome. But Tennessee, on the other hand, punt returns, there were so many balls that weren't returned that just put yourself in negative field position. The hidden yards, as you like to say, that Butch used to point out.
And that's very real. When a guy doesn't field a punt and the ball rolls 15 extra yards, that's a whole 15-yard penalty that you just gave yourself for no reason. So, hey, maybe with the new, maybe with the new guy that can get cleaned up. Let's finish with this. Speaking of wide receivers and DBs, Boo Carter is involved in some message board rumors that have been swirling around. I told you Zach, I tuned into Tony Basilio's show for about 20 minutes a minute ago just to see, and he did talk about it. Not a lot of details out there, but the rumors, is pure rumor, pure speculation, is that he's just not what's the best way to frame it? Like kind of showing up to things, like not being reliable. There was this rumor of an altercation that maybe happened. There's something along those lines. It's been very vague. A lot of people have had a hard time finding out any details. I would guess from the internal point of view, from Josh Heupel's point of view, that's by design. That's the way they want it. They don't want you to know any of the details. But I think it seems like there's a lot of people convinced that, like, it's not a complete given that there won't be some sort of suspension here, some sort of handling it internally or something. Who knows exactly what it'll be? And it's extremely vague at the moment. But any thoughts on that, Zach?
I mean, you hope that everything turns out okay with whatever is or isn't going on. Boot Carter's an extremely important player on this team. He's a dynamic athlete on both sides of the ball. You're hoping that he can provide a spark on offense this season, as well as being, a key part of that secondary. He's a game changer, and you in all three phases, even special teams. Like, you want that guy on the field as often as possible. It's the SEC, though. Things like this pop up from time to time. We're not as accustomed to dealing with this as Georgia fans, so I don't really know how to feel. I know they deal with this every week. They're dealing with it right now with a signee, a player. Yeah, it's constant. They probably wouldn't even bat an eye at this, to be honest. It's just business as usual. But for us, Josh Heupel runs a pretty clean program, and this hasn't been something that's happened a lot. So it is, kind of unnerving when something like this pops up, and you hope it's just rumor, but we've seen so many times over the years that rumors often become reality, especially when they kind of gain steam and they start getting talked about publicly a little bit, as you mentioned with Tony Basilio. When it gets to that point, it's time to kind of keep an eye on it, and you understand if there's some concern level, and I would say the concern level is legitimate because I said you just don't know how this stuff is going to play out, and we've been doing this long enough with Tennessee to know that if there is a worst case scenario, there's a good chance that's what's going to happen for Tennessee. It seems like. So hopefully we'll be wrong here, but man, it seems like, I mean, this would be a double whammy, right? Of an off season to lose Nico and that guy, arguably what are supposed to be the centerpieces of each side of the ball. That would be nightmarish and really stuff that's out of Josh Heupel's control to some extent.
And already a guy that you kind of had to fight for to keep around.
Yeah.
And usually when these things start swirling, who knows what the actual truth is, but usually these things do not pop up for no reason. There is probably something going on. I think the ideal scenario, depending on the severity of it, obviously, if there's something very serious going on, if he's committed a crime or something like this, it needs to be dealt with, suspension, whatever you got to do. But a lot of times in these situations, you'll see programs kind of try, like I said a second ago, try to handle it internally. Maybe you see that here, maybe you don't. Without any details, it's nearly impossible to say.
Reminds me of that Jeremy Pruitt complaint that time when Jeremy Banks had the traffic stop, and he said, "I've never dealt with this at any other place I've been at," which was Alabama, Georgia, and Florida State. To me, was code for they cover stuff up much better than Knoxville does.
In Tuscaloosa, they don't pull my players over.
Yeah.
That man, good times with Pruitt there. I forgot about that. But we're just gonna have to give it some time, see if anything else comes out. I mean, this was late last night or something where this first started. Circulating around
over the weekend. Kind of just rumors started persisting, and Heupel's probably happy that it didn't happen at SEC Media Days, and now he's got 8 7-8 days, whatever it is, till he will talk to the media again to hopefully let it blow over or come to a positive conclusion for Tennessee. I don't know, life of a college football coach, man. It's rough. You're getting paid a lot, but the stress level, I'm not sure is worth it at times between the portal, losing players, constantly wondering if they're getting into trouble off the field. It's a never ending job.
Good times. I don't, as fun as it probably would be in a lot of aspects to be a football coach. Whew, I do not envy it. The hours, the BS that comes along with it. Yeah, more power to you if that's what you want to do. But I think that's a show, Zach. About all we got for this week for the A to Z Sports Big Orange podcast in the throes, the deepest part of the offseason here. Charlie Burris, Zach Ragan. Thank you for tuning in and watching. Anything else for the folks at home before we bounce, Zach?
No, that should do it. Just keep the good vibes there for Boot Carter and hope it all turns out okay.
We'll see. And if anything happens, we'll talk about it on this very show. All right. Thanks again. We will talk to y'all next week.
See you guys later.